I'm doing you a favor tonight, but consider this a warning shot, Superman. Metropolis' nights are haunted, and the legend of Marilyn Moonlight rides again. There's a debate raging, at least in my comment section, about this character's design. But just who is she? This is Marilyn Moonlight, also given the moniker the Spirit of Metropolis, and described by DC Comics as an anti-hero. She was created by Joshua Williamson and Jamal Campbell, and she debuted in Superman #2 in 2023. She was described thusly in a solicit for Superman #2. Introducing a new anti-hero, Marilyn Moonlight, the Spirit of Metropolis, who only operates at night. Is she friend or foe to the Man of Steel? And how does she connect to Metropolis' secret past? Not only was she featured on the main cover in an image that gave me major Lady Dimitrescu vibes, but she also got a variant where one could see her design in a bit more close-up detail, sans hat. And there was also a character design variant where one got a better look at the whole ensemble, with the hat, the man with no name poncho, and overall cowboy/western vibes. She appears very briefly in Superman #2. In this issue, Superman is having to do battle with the Parasite, whose power set has seemingly morphed. Now, instead of just becoming bigger and stronger, he seems to be spreading like a virus, turning other people into even more parasites. And of course, all of this is doing a number on the Man of Steel. Superman is already frazzled because Lex is in his ear, trying to force Clark to accept his help in taking on villains. He's saying they need to team up because something bigger is coming. And we do see a little sample of that something bigger. There seems to be a league of mad scientists, not regular scientists, mad scientists. If you're gonna be in a villain league, go all out, have fun. Get a giant painting of yourself. Lex also left Clark his company in issue 1, which is also something that Superman doesn't want to deal with. He doesn't want to accept that kind of aid, even if Mercy does have cool cybernetic powers now. Also, side note, look at how Campbell draws Mercy's arms. She never misses arm day. Those are some defined arms. In this issue, it's all hands on deck to help Clark, or at least John, Supergirl, and the Not Twins, the siblings Otho and Osul Ra, who Clark and Lois have recently adopted. And Steel. Both versions. The power has been drained from Metropolis, but the super families put up an ice wall to contain the parasites they're in. But John and Supergirl have some bad news. They can't find Lois. And Superman has already been drained a fair bit, and now he has to go look for her. It's while he's searching for Lois at the Daily Planet building that he meets Marilyn Moonlight. You don't want to be here, Superman. Best you move along.
I don't know who you are or what you're doing, but...
You were gone for a spell, darling. Metropolis has a way of creating its heroes when it needs to. Wow, shots fired at John. He was there while Clark was gone. There was a whole book. No, Metropolis creates its own heroes. Oof. It's probably not meant that way, but that amuses me to no end. Although, Lord knows, sometimes things can get petty in comics. Do you believe in ghosts, Superman? I mean, with everything he's seen, he'd better. They do actually have Clark say he does, which is appreciated. I mean, some of their allies, as well as their villains, are ghosts. Ghosts everywhere. He tries to get Marilyn to tell him what she wants instead of just blasting him, but she won't because she's mysterious, and she just kind of phases away from him like the shade. The shade's on my mind a lot lately. I've been rewatching Stargirl. I'm doing you a favor tonight, but consider this a warning shot, Superman. Metropolis' nights are haunted, and the legend of Marilyn Moonlight rides again. And as she lights up on her gallant steed, Superman gets a flash of old-timey Western things, which matches with the teaser from the end of issue 1, where we saw Clark on a horse. Once his vision clears, he finds that she's gone, and he's recharged.
Her light recharged me. Was that Moonlight?
I mean, the shock should come more from the fact that she was able to charge him up like a power pack, and less from the fact that it's moonlight. Since moonlight is also light that is coming ultimately from the sun, it's just reflected off the moon. So should it not also charge Superman, just more slowly? I get what they're going for here, sun powers, moon powers, but really it's not as dichotomous for Superman as it may appear on the surface. But it can be fun to play in that arena of opposites. So miles will vary on whether or not that's gonna be something you can roll with or not. Do you want realism or symbolism? I'm not sure if you can have both in this instance. I'm sure some of you feel you can. You can have it all. So that is Marilyn Moonlight as she stands, time of recording. This was her first appearance. Not quite a cameo, but still very brief. She shows up as a bit of a teaser of things to come. It's an interesting moment, but also one that could be cut from or replaced in the story, and little would change. So a lot is going to ride on how this character ends up playing out, since this intro is purely to try and build intrigue for her. But it's not as firmly tied to the goings-on as it stands as it could be. The connection could get tighter as details are revealed, and that will either make this intro stronger or weaker. As it stands, it is an intriguing moment, bolstered by Campbell's art if one is a fan of his work. There is some interesting utilization of the light and shadows that make her sequence dynamic, and they really make the light pop in these panels. She is glowing, she's blindingly bright, but there's not much to her yet. So there are a couple of things that could hook a reader, make them interested in Marilyn Moonlight. The who is that girl mystery, her power set, or her design, or some combination thereof. Why not all three? Or none, that's also an option. A strong design right out of the gate can really help a character at least garner interest, which can help them gain some momentum and maybe stick around. When it comes to Marilyn Moonlight's design, when I posted her character stills in the community tab, I got a couple of responses. There were two very prominent ones and then a couple of outliers. The two leading responses were, wow, cool, love this design, she looks awesome, loving loving the vibe, etc. So the enthusiastic into it one. Then there was, oh look, DC's Moon Knight. Marvel's legal department is on standby. Guess DC is copying Marvel's homework. I thought this was a Marvel design. Is that Iron Fist's mask? AKA the she's derivative response. I'm going to do a brief montage of Marilyn Moonlight against various versions of Moon Knight, and you can tell me what you think. Do you think they're very similar, or do you think some of the prompting to compare is coming from her name, Marilyn Moonlight, versus Moon Knight and her moon-based powers? Or do you feel they're pulling some design staples that you see a decent amount on Marvel characters? I want to hear from you. Also, if you do think they look similar, does it bother you, or do you still like the design? I mentioned that there were some outliers in these responses. One I saw crop up a few times is the idea that she's meant to have a design and name reminiscent of a classic pulp hero, especially given the narrative that she's supposed to be tied to the past Metropolis heroes. As an overthinker who likes to imagine that everybody else is putting a painful amount of thought into things, this rationale appeals to me. I can see it with the guns and the poncho and even her more cliched type of speech. Like she's coming from another time, another era. She'll see you at midnight, not high noon, because that wouldn't be on brand. ILS cannot find quotes talking about her as of yet, time of recording. I'm sure she'll have a lot if she takes off, then we'll just have articles upon articles, like Punchline. This character has generated a wee bit of buzz online, time of recording, across various platforms. I even saw some TikToks. We'll see where it goes and where she goes. But for now, I want to hear from you. Are you feeling Marilyn Moonlight? Share your thoughts down below. I'm looking forward to seeing what you have to say. And while you're down there, please do all the YouTube things. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Thanks to everyone who checked out my Coffee and the channel memberships, where I post some extra content. It helps out the channel and means we get to post even more videos about nerdy comic booky goings on. I as always appreciate you taking some time out of your day to spend it discussing all this nerdy stuff with me, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye. Why did I say bye-bye? They're like a question. It's not a question. Bye-bye.